Hey everyone, it's Pawn Hurricane. This is my first ever YouTube video. I've always wanted to make videos on chess and share that enjoyment with other people. I'm an expert level player with a rating floating around 2000, so many of my games will still be riddled with mistakes. Hopefully, some of the stronger players in this channel will be able to point out the mistakes and where I can improve, and hopefully the players that are new to chess can learn from my games or learn what not to do. I will be doing live commentary as I play my games, and I'll be going back using the analysis board to look for different strategies, missed opportunities, and where I could play the opening better. I will also be doing instructional videos on different topics such as openings, middle games, and end games. And if you guys have any suggestions for a video, please feel free to email me at pawnhurricane64@gmail.com. So I'm going to start with some 3-2 Blitz. I have a provisional rating on leadchess.org, so before I can join any tournaments, I'm going to have to start with that, and we'll see where it goes from there. So I'm just going to start searching for a game, and we'll see who comes up. So I got white against a person with a 1537 rating. So here it looks like we have a hyper-modern opening. So I think this is called the pterodactyl that take on c5. Certainly lots of opening strategies, or lots of interesting ideas in this opening. Bishop e2, I don't want him to just cripple my structure for nothing like that. So I'm just going to play relatively conservatively here, bishop e2. And yeah, this is probably an equal position. I'm not super great at playing against these hyper modern openings. So white has a little more space here. It's about white's lead in development probably isn't anything special here. No, bishop e3 just improving my bishop. So maybe an idea here at one point might be to play knight d4 and f4, f5, and I don't really have anything special out of the opening right now, other than a slight lead in development. So okay, so black's attacking my e4 pawn, so that should be defended, but I can defend it through tactics. Knight d5. I'm threatening knight e7, so black cannot take on e4. So if he takes and I take with the e pawn, I get a lead, or I get a space advantage. So here, yeah, black took on e4, so we're just going to take on e7. So that should lead to almost immediate resignation. Okay. So we still have a game to play. A lot of people at this kind of point will just go, why hasn't he resigned? Well, it's his right not to resign. So we shouldn't get all flustered by things like that and just continue to keep our head in the game. So c3, I don't want to give unnecessary counterplay. Let him take the b2 pawn. So a lot of players will also get sloppy here and just give unnecessary counterplay. And that's something that you really want to avoid overall. So bishop f5 would look like a generally natural move. And in these kind of positions where you're out material, it's normally good to trade. So so knight d4 forces off one of the minor pieces. So when you trade off minor pieces like that, it gives less chances to accidentally get mated and things like that. So here I can just kind of continue. Now I don't want to give him the dark squared bishop just for nothing, so I'm just going to play bishop f3 here. Just slowly improving my position. Queen e2. I don't have to do anything special here. Rook d1, just targeting the d pawn. So there's no threats yet on my queen. Bishop a2 might be on the cards. I don't really think it's a threat yet. So I'm just gonna play queen d3. Actually, it's not the end of the world if he picks up the a pawn. Actually, bishop here, because I can maybe play b3. If he takes a2, b3 to try and trap his bishop. So now I'll just rook here, and yeah, I'm just up a queen, and it's 3-2, so I'm not gonna flag. And that's the biggest thing. That's the one good thing about playing with an increment. You're not gonna flag in winning positions because that kind of sucks. But it is a legit strategy, especially with flat time controls like 5-0, 3-0, and bullet. So a lot of players will whine, well, why didn't he resign? Well, he doesn't have to. So he definitely doesn't have to resign. So I've seen lots of players on League Chess, on chess.com. They all get upset over this kind of stuff, but it's not a big deal. So here I should be looking at some point to play G3, just to avoid any tactical nonsense. So here, gotta be a little careful of my back rank. So if I lose that pawn, it's not the end of the world. So I'm just gonna play H3. Just even if he picks up a pawn, just no nonsense. So just don't need to have any accidents in this kind of position where you're completely winning. So just play Queen D2. Guard. When you're getting into time pressure, just make sure your pieces are guarded. That's the number one thing. Even in long chess and your rated games, whether it be FIDE or the USCF, just guard your pieces. So I'm going to try and go after that A pawn. Just target the weaknesses in the position. He can't even pick up my A pawn, so it's guarded. So should be doing okay in this position. So I'm just going to take that. So well that's definitely a bit of a whoopsies, but definitely not the end of the world. I can play Rook D1 here if I want, but I'd rather just play like this. I'm not going to give him the queen, so no need to. But yeah, the biggest thing like this is not to panic. Yes, I've given up the exchange, but it's only a queen. It's queen for a rook now, so my position's still completely fine. So even if I give up the rook, I'm still doing okay in this position. So give rook bishop, and then it's queen and minor piece is always better than two rooks. In general, like obviously if you're getting mated, then not, but overall. So chess, I know chess can't always be played in black and white, but overall there can be some pretty decent guidelines. So this just wins the bishop, and then I can just continue to push the A pawn. And there's not too much more to be said about this game other than if I hang my queen, that would kind of suck. And God knows I could still do it, but I prefer not to. So king's got some room, so king's not in any danger. If I can trade off a pair of rooks, then it should be fine. So just king G2, nothing special. Okay, just here, I'm just going to try and target the F pawn. Queen D5 guards the bishop so I can play A5. So Rook F8 is going to have to be played at some point. So okay, yeah, so Rook F8 has to come. Then I can even pile up with Bishop B3. So, and I think so. Yeah, I'm just gonna play Bishop B3 and take on F7, and that's pretty much game over. So I'm not. So yeah, so obviously I dropped the exchange there. So it's always important to be careful, even in completely winning positions. So I'm just gonna take that. Do our trading philosophy, and I'm just gonna push the pawn. So lots of time on the clock, so no reason to panic. So everything's guarded. So keep it simple. Take the rook, A7. So and there we got resigns. So we'll go find another opponent. So actually we'll go to the analysis board because I said that's something that we would do. So E4, G6. So this is all pretty standard. This is certainly, yeah, the pterodactyl. So I think if you look at a lot of International Master Lawrence Day's games, I think you'll see a lot of this from both sides, and it's an interesting opening with lots of imbalances, and I enjoy unbalanced positions, especially in Blitz. Even in my long games, I enjoy it, but very selective with it, especially against lower rated players. I don't want to play into a mess against them and accidentally miss something. But against higher rated players, so when I'm hitting like 2200s and FIDE Masters and things like that, I don't mind playing the mess. So to try and get the wins. So yeah, I took on C5. So if you open the openings book here, so Bishop E3 here. I don't see this line very often. So yeah, Bishop E3. This makes sense. So you're just trying to trade off this bishop. So Knight F6 and you're just getting a game. So yeah, e5, gonna get some space. So, and it scores respectable, nothing overly special. So d takes. I know that I've definitely seen this kind of line. So with queen a5, queen d4. I've been in this position a few times. So and these pieces always become a liability at some point. Um, so like these pawns, they're not they're not going to be great in the long run. So, but you can just continue on natural here. Probably castles, knight f3, knight c6, and it's a game. Um, Black certainly has Black's position is probably doing fine here. So, but d takes queen a5, which is certainly playable. Bishop d2 makes the most sense. Sometimes you just don't want to get fancy. There is a threat on the board. Well, just losing a pawn if I do nothing. So say knight f3. Actually, that seems to be playable. It takes here, 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 and queen takes c5, and this has been played. So I have 3 pieces developed. Black's queen is developed, and that's it. He's not castled yet, so yeah, white probably has some compensation here. You can play rook b1, castles, bishop e3 at some moment, try and move the knight and play f4. So there's certainly compensation in this position. So, okay, so bishop d2, queen c5. So black gets his pawn back with reasonable play. So I don't think anything special has happened here. So knight d5 is a move. Seems kind of unnatural. I don't know really what the idea is. So say let's play something normal. Knight f6. Oh, that's a cute idea. Okay, so knight d5 comes with a threat, and this is really to remember. So if here bishop b4, so the queen has to go back to c6, and then you can keep on. So that comes with a nice threat here, and knight c7. So there are some tactical ideas in here. So that's good to remember. Knight a6, and then you can play the normal knight f3. So that's a good idea to remember for sure. Okay. So yeah, knight f3. Just if you're never sure what to do, developing is probably never a bad idea, or at least playing in the center of the board. Making random pawn moves like a3 or h3 is almost never a good idea, and overall it's going to be more weakening than it's worth it. So knight f3 is natural move. So d6 makes some sense. So if knight f6, white might try and play e5. So, but even that might not be the end of the world. So here, e5. Actually, knight g4 is an attempt to attack that. So knight e4. It's getting interesting play. So, but black scores heavily in this line. So, and it just looks very unnatural to play e5. So, so bishop e2, knight f6, castles. So we just got a normal game here. Bishop e3. Generally, they talk about not moving pieces twice in the opening. I'd say we're still in early stages of the game, but the bishop on d2 is not well placed anyway. So sometimes you can get away with moving pieces twice in the opening if it serves a purpose. You don't just want to be randomly moving the same piece twice. So bishop e3, so opens the file for the queen. So queen c6. So there's no more games in the database here, so we can shut that off. And we can take stock of the position. So the kings are relatively safe. The bishops, the dark squared bishops are the same, roughly. The knights are the same. Black's queen's in a bit of a funny square. I think the knight would rather go there. So I have a pawn on e4, pawn on d6. So it's probably, white probably has a slight edge, but nothing to write home about. Like, I don't have some smashing win here. But knight d5, maybe with the idea here, this is a nice way to get in some space. So maybe in the long run, if this pawn doesn't get resolved, I could play against a backwards pawn. And I could just build up on the space, and I'm just increasing my lead in development here. So, because now it's like 3 versus 2, and the queen's got to move again, so I get another tempo here to play c4 if I want. So I'm not overly concerned with this. Like, I'm just increasing my lead in development, targeting b2. I can play queen a5 here and rook d1 or rook e1. I have lots of different plans here. So knight e4, it's always important to watch for your opponent's threats. So knight e7 is certainly a threat in this position. So when you're calculating, some of the first things I talk about is look at all checks first, then all captures, and then all attacking moves. Because checks, they are the most forcing moves. So in this position, black should be considering, well, what if eventually white takes on f6 check? Well, we just have bishop takes or e takes f6, and it's not the end of the world. So, and knight takes e7 is a check. So does knight e7 come with a threat? Yes, it does. The queen will be lost. So we quickly eliminate that. That's easy because there's not a lot of checks. So black essentially has to respond to that. So rook e8 might be a way to respond, or queen d7. Queen d7, it's nice to get the knight out here. So, yeah, don't always just stare at, oh, it's free material. Well, look what's happening. So, yeah, knight e7. So, there's not too much more to conclude from this game. Black just blundered very early on, but yeah, always when the biggest thing to take away is when you're calculating, look at all checks first, then all captures, then all attacking moves. That way, you're not going to miss like the obvious check and lose a queen like in this game. So this was my first video, guys. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, feel free to give it a thumbs down. Shoot any comments in the comment section below. Give criticism. You're not going to hurt my feelings. And I'll see you next time. Thanks.